continuing on with this series of my biggest mistakes, really the first one in my early life that I can remember was that I believed that if there was a God, He didn't care about me. I didn't matter, and I believed this until I was 11 years old. So Paul was standing before the Areopagus, before this council, Epicureans and Stoics, and he said, notice that you have one of these shrines that's made out to the unknown God. He says, I'm here to tell you about Him, that He made everything that gives breath and life, and that His purpose was for the nations to seek after God, perhaps feel their way toward Him and find Him, though He's not far from any of us. He's not far from any of us. This was a new thing for me to read here, because I thought that didn't make sense, and I know when that started to change when I was 11 years old. I had experience when I was 11 and then one when I was 20. But when I was 11 years old, I went out fishing one day, and I was down by this creek, and I threw my hook in under this bridge, and I thought there would be some fish there, and I fell in, and I reached out and grabbed the fence, and it was electric, and the electricity just shot through my body, and I blanked out. And the next thing I knew, I was standing on top of the bridge, and to this day, I don't know how I got out of there, but I started thinking there must be a God. That really got my attention. So a decade passed, and I went to school at the University of Houston. I got a nice scholarship there. We won a national championship. And one day on the 9th hole, when we were playing a tournament in Odessa, Texas, my coach came out to see me, had me sit down, and he says, "Your brother's been killed." Sonny, his name was, and I just couldn't believe it. He was like my dad. He was closer to my father. He was a brother. He was my mentor. He taught me to play golf, everything. I just was so angry about this. I felt so, there couldn't be this. It was back. Really, at that time, I still believed that. I still doubt if he was there, even though I got rescued at 11. Now I have more of a conviction that he's not there, and he doesn't care a bit about us. At that time, I didn't realize how big a mistake that was. But about a year later, I had some guys come to our dormitory in Taub Hall, and they shared their faith, and they were this vibrant. They said that this lack of meaning in life, which I had. I'd been in this atheism, my agnostic state for over a year and a half. And they shared how he had filled this up and how their doubts were changed when they found out there's evidence that Jesus Christ was raised from the dead. And I thought, well, I've never heard that before. And then they talked about a personal relationship with him. And they shared this, and then they asked us to stay afterwards and talk with them. And they asked us to pray. And they said that it's by grace you're saved, and it's nothing you can do about it. And he just loves you, and he wants to come into your life. I could just see it in their lives. And my brother was nudging me to do this with them. He wanted to have this faith. He wanted Jesus in his heart, and he was knocking at the door. And they said, he's just knocking there, and he's done it all, and he's got a purpose for you and a plan. And it just started. My eyes started to open up there, and I thought, they may be right. I could be wrong. And so they said, well, you'll never know. The proof of the matter is in the pudding. So they said, we're going to have a prayer, and if you want to pray, you pray along with us. And So they prayed this, what's called a sinner's prayer, and I said, Lord Jesus, I know I'm a sinner. Forgive me of my sins. And I prayed sincerely and asked him to come in my heart. And sadly, nothing happened. I didn't see any bolts of lightning. And I went to bed that night thinking, this is great. It's wonderful what they found. But then the next day, or soon after, the guy that had introduced the meeting, Al Bradshaw, came by to see me, and he asked me if I'd seen any changes. I said I didn't, but I realized now that was the most important decision of my life. And out of that, wow, that was gigantic, and that Jesus filled up my soul, and that mistake that he isn't near was a big mistake, because he's very, very near. He's right beside us, behind us, and there, and he's just knocking on the door. And we come in. If anyone asks, opens the door, I'll come into him and dine with him, and he with me. It isn't a bolt of lightning. It's by faith. You believe it, and then you grow, and then it's magnificent. It's the greatest news the world's ever heard.